Hello, this is Jill from Paper Daisy Crafting. Hope you're okay. Thank you for joining me today. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in the UK, and for several weeks now I've been bringing you my Card Making for Beginners series. And today we have another project in that series. So throughout the series there are some videos that are projects and some videos that are information, telling you about tools and various other things that you need, information you need to begin card making. But today we're making a project, and for once I am staying away from Christmas, and we're going to make this fun little card here. So it could be for any occasion, and in fact the stamp set that I use to do the greeting, which is Well Said, you could make that greeting there anything. You could have, it could be a Mother's Day card, it could be a birthday card, where's birthday, a congratulations card, you could just put friend, you could have sympathy, retirement, Father's Day, anything, loads and loads of different greetings. But I like for you, because that means I can use it for multiple occasions. It could be birthday, it could be a thank you, it could be just saying hi to somebody. I send a lot of cards to my mum in a care home. So it's great having a stash of these cards, because I can just send her this. I usually pop a bar of chocolate in as well. Just send her a bar of chocolate and a little card to let her know that I'm thinking about her. Just been told that we won't be able to visit again because the UK's gone back into lockdown, or is going back on Thursday. So we had several months of not being able to visit. I've been 4 times, I think, since lockdown lifted, and now we can't go again. Hey ho, she has dementia, so she's not sitting there waiting for us. She doesn't really know what day of the week it is, so that's the only thing that makes me feel better. Anyway, back to our project today. Right, I took inspiration for my card, as I often do, from our catalogue. Here's the catalogue. Here's the page with the stamp set that we're using today, which is Basket of Blooms. I love it. I love it mostly because it's got these two shapes in it, which coordinate with our small blooms punch, and I love little flower punches like this. Some of my favourite product. And so I just looked up here and thought, okay, let's replicate that. So I haven't replicated it completely, but I have gone with quite a simple layout so that it's nice and easy for beginners to do. And we are going to do a little bit of colouring. We're going to do a little bit of masking and a little bit of colouring today, which we haven't broached before. We have broached masking, but not this kind of masking. So it's going to be a new adventure for us all today. So let's get started. So I am going to start with making the image, and then we will progress on to making the card base. So what I need is a piece of card, Whisper White card, which is 8 by 12 centimetres. So here is my piece of card that I'm going to cut down. Now you could do this before or after. I'm going to do it before. In fact, on this one I cut it down after I'd done all the stamping and things, but it doesn't really matter. So we're going to cut this down to 12. So I'm measuring from the cutting line to the number 12 on the measuring strip, which will mean that our piece of card is 12 centimetres. And then I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to cut it to 8. There we go. So that's our piece of cardstock. What we are then going to do is we're going to stamp our pot. Because this is a beginner video, I'm going to give you the measurement. The pot is roughly 2 centimetres from the bottom. So if you mark that on your card, you can position it exactly. I know sometimes for beginners they do have a few problems with, or you can have a few problems with positioning things. So if you know the exact measurements, that really helps. So I'm going to take the pot stamp from the set, and I'm going to take my Memento black ink, and I'm going to stamp this twice, and you are going to see why I'm going to stamp it twice. I'm going to stamp it once on a post-it. So I'm going to stamp it mostly where the sticky bit is. So I'm going to stamp right at the top of the post-it note. Put that to one side, and then I need to stamp here. So I've got my little mark at 2 centimetres, so I know roughly where I'm going to go. Sorry if my head's in the way, I just want to get this in the right position. Hoping that's right. There you go. I don't realise how really directly over my projects I get until I start videoing, and then I realise that my big fat head is blocking you out. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fussy cut this mask. This is going to be our mask. So I'm going to go round the black line like so, which is going to mean that this will mask out the pot when I stamp, which means anything I stamp on it won't actually appear on my card. It will be stamped on the mask instead, which I can remove. And you can do this with any shape, or any shape that's easy enough to cut out. There are some shapes that would be a bit intricate to cut out like this, but it works with a whole range of shapes. So I'm going to position that right back over my pot, like so, which means that when I stamp the greenery, I can get it down right, joining the pot right at the top, but without going over the pot. I don't want it showing. So let's find my greenery. Here it is. And let's find, I'm going to do it in Old Olive. Like so. Right, and this one is going to go quite low, okay, and out to the side. I haven't inked that up very well, actually. Got a little bit missing there. Doesn't matter too much. I'm going to colour this anyway, so hopefully that'll be covered up. And then this one, which is going to be taller, and I'm going to take it up a bit so it's a bit taller. There we go. Right, so that's the stamping on there. Now, before I do anything else, we are going to colour. So I can remove my mask, and there you can see how now my leaves go into my pot without any overlapping. Right, so I'm going to take my, now I said we were going to do colouring today, and today we're going to colour with Stampin' Blends. We have a range of media that we can colour with. We have watercolour pencils, we have aqua brushes, we have blending tools. I'm going to use our blends at the moment, which is my favourite way of colouring at the moment. And I'm using the Old Olive Dark and Old Olive Light. And I've got these little labels on here that I bought from Wendy Cranford, who is a US demo, and she sells them on her website, and you buy a whole sheet and then can just punch them out with a little circle punch and pop them on. It's really helped me with my blends to keep them in order and so that I know what colour it is. Right, what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to take the pencil, the bullet end of my blend, and I'm going to colour in all of the stems and leaves with the light Old Olive colour first of all. It's not really a lot of blending to do on here because it's just leaves, but I can show you a little bit. I will bring you some projects later that show a bit more about blending. If you haven't started your blends collection yet, you could use markers, normal markers, or if you've got, you could even watercolour, and you know you can use that ink from our ink pad. So you just, if you stamp a clear block into your ink pad and then just pick up that ink with a wet paintbrush, you can watercolour. Again, that's a technique I will be bringing you in the future, but for today we are using blends. If you were going to buy any colouring tools, the blends are the one I'd recommend. Mine, I've been buying these since they first came out, which must be 3 years ago. I've used them so much and they're still going strong, so they are an investment, but they are such a worthwhile investment. So worthwhile. There we go. So what can I talk about while I just colour in here and you just watch me? Very therapeutic doing this colouring, actually. I love it. There we go. We're nearly done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap to dark Old Olive, and I'm just going to do half of each leaf with dark Old Olive, and then this will give me some sort of dimension to it. So just doing half of each leaf, and you don't need to be too precise. Do try and stay in the lines, so you don't want too much splurging out over the lines. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it again with the light, and you'll find that that will blend it all together. My preferred method for using the blends is to go light, dark, and then light again, and it will blend quite nicely the colours. They are really great, the blends. There are other makes on the market. Of course, these are alcohol markers, just in case you don't know. They're alcohol based. And so they colour without leaving any lines. What you'll find with water-based markers is if you colour, you can get lines where if you go over something twice, it goes darker. These won't do that. These will blend. The colour will be very, very smooth and will just blend together. There we go. Any questions you want to ask, don't forget you can always email me, jilldchapman@gmail.com. I'm always happy to help, happy to answer any questions you might have. A lot of people ask what colours they should start with if they start a blends collection. It depends what kind of images you want to colour, I think. If you're into doing animals or scenery, then you obviously want you want browns and possibly some green for the scenery. If you like me and you do flowers and those sorts of images, you want some colours that you might want your flowers. So you might want pink, purple, yellow. So it's really up to you. But they come in pairs. You always get a light and a dark one. So that's great. So can you see how that's now blending? That going over this with the light one again is helping those colours just blend more together. Really great. There. Now I'm going to also come in and colour the pot, and this time I'm going to use Bermuda Bay Blends. So again, I'm going to go with the light first of all. Yeah. And I'm using the brush tip on this one. It's a bigger space to colour. And I'm going to go all over with the light. My shading is going to be brought in with the dark. My friend Jez has been doing a lot of colouring with blends just recently and has really perfected some of the technique. I wouldn't say I have perfected any of it, but I'm quite happy with my colouring. Whereas my colouring always used to look like an infant school child had done it, preschooler. Now I'm quite happy with it. Right, so that's the first layer. Now I'm going to come in with the dark Bermuda Bay, and you can see where this is intended to go because you've got some black markings on there to show the shadows. So I'm just going to roughly colour over there and go over a little bit more. And then I am just going to do a line down this side because I think this side might be in the shadow as well. And it will be the front of it that would be the darkest because that's where the light is shining. There we go. And again, I'm going to go over with the light Bermuda Bay to blend those colours together. And you'll get a nice seamless joining of colours. There. Now the flowers. We are going to use another stamp from the stamp set. So far we've used the pot and we've used this foliage. We're now going to use this flower, which is the one that coordinates with the small bloom punch. Right, okay. Don't know if this is big enough. I didn't leave myself a piece of card. Oh, here we go. That one will do. I should, oh, I did have a piece of card. Yeah, no, I'll use this anyway. Right, okay, sorry, talking to myself. I'm going to make orange flowers for this one. So this is a pumpkin pie, and we need 3 flowers. And we're going to colour before we punch them out, just because it's slightly easier to do that. But of course you could punch out and then colour, but it's a little bit fiddly. Right, okay. Now what might happen here is the colour might bleed, because I'm going right over the pumpkin pie with Daffodil Delight, actually. So it's going to be an orangey yellow flower. And the colour, the pumpkin pie might run, because it's not oblivious to the blend pen, but I don't mind that because this is the kind of look I'm going for. But if that bothers you, then you want to stamp in Memento ink, because the Memento ink will not blend, will not bleed with the blends. And you need a different ink again for watercolouring, because if you watercolour with Memento, then again you might get some bleeding. There, okay. Now I've done that roughly. I'm just going to go round with the bullet point again. So what do you reckon these are? They're not quite orangey enough for nasturtiums, are they? Not quite daisy-like, not sure what they are. Okay, so we can then punch them out. One. Beauty of our punches is that you can line them up on the bottom so that you can see exactly what you're punching. Absolutely brilliant. Love, love, love them. And I love this small bloom punch. This was a free item in last year's celebration, so I didn't even pay for this, which makes it even more wonderful. Right, there we go. Now I need a couple of dimensionals to pop on the back there. And we are going to position them. I always work in 3s or 5s because that's just more pleasing to the eye to take you round in a triangle. So I'm going to pop them there. Oh, that's a nice colour, isn't it? I might put that one just slightly over, just over there. So just get them positioned where you think you'd like them. And then I'm going to use half a big dimensional. Found out when I was making this that a full one is just slightly too big, but a half is just about okay. So I'm just going to use a half a dimensional to secure these down. And then on the one that I made before, I used some of our enamel dots that were in our in colours. And of course, I don't know what I wanted orange, but I haven't got any orange enamel dots. So what I'm going to use, so I'm going to use the cinnamon cider ones because I think actually a little bit of brown would actually look quite good on here. So I'm going to use some cinnamon cider enamel dots. Of course, I could colour some pearls or some rhinestones as well to get the colours with my blends. Their colours will take. So I could do that. Where's that going to go? That's going to go up there. And then this one is going to go there. Perfect. Lovely. Now the last bit of colouring I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this little shadow under the pot because I think that makes it stand. So this one looks like it's not really grounded, so I'm going to use the brush tip of light crumb cake, I think, yes, and just colour just to give it a little bit of grounding. So just a little shadow there to make me show you that it's sitting on something. And then just need those dots, which I had earlier, and which have now, no, there they are, buried under things. There we go. And we're just going to take Bermuda Bay. No, I'm not Bermuda Bay. Cinnamon cider, and pop one of those in the centre of our flower. If I can get hold of it. Oh, it's chasing me all over the place. There we go. They're really well stuck down to this adhesive with their adhesive. They're really not going anywhere. Oh, that one didn't stick. There we go. Lovely. Right, okay, now let's make the basis of our card. So I've got a card blank here that I've made. This is, just move some of this stuff out of the way. This is pumpkin pie, and it's 21 by 15, scored at 10.5. And then I've got a panel here that I've cut so that it's 3mm all the way round smaller. So this was 15, so I've cut this at 14.4, and this was 10, so I've cut it at, this was 10.5, so I've cut it at 9.9 centimetres. So, but before we glue it down, what we're going to do, I did some self-stamping with the daisy around there. So I'm going to do that with Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to just clean off my stamp on my chamois. Sorry, excuse the chamois, it looks a mess, but does the job perfectly, so can't complain. And then I need my Daffodil Delight pad. There we go. And we're just going to stamp around the edges. I'm just going to use my scrap piece of paper. You can see this is what I used on my last piece, just so I don't mess up my grid paper, because I've got lots of videos to record today. and I'm just going to stamp randomly round the edges. So there's a little peak of these flowers behind, so you don't need to do the whole thing because it's going to be covered up. Of course you could if you wanted to, but you don't need to. There we go. And just before you stick it down, just check that you have stamped daisies everywhere where they're going to be seen. There we go. So that's perfect. Lovely. Oh, might just put a little bit of one here so that shows. There we go. Just seem to have a little bit of a gap there. Right, okay, so we've just got to glue all of that down. So here's my panel, and I haven't got my glue out. Thought I was organised. Get my Tombow out. Oh, got a dimensional backing there. There we go. There. Right, I don't know what's happening in the countries where you all are. I know I've got some Australian viewers and some American. I think Australia's done a really good job of COVID. You seem to have got the numbers right down. If only we could do that in the UK. We have got escalating numbers and are going back into lockdown on Thursday, which is quite a depressing thought. I've only seen one of my daughters once since the beginning of lockdown in March, and we were planning to go and take her some furniture. She's moving into a new flat, and we were planning to go and visit and take her some new furniture, and now we won't be allowed to do that. My son moved into a flat last week, and so we're taking a few bits for him. We're going to try and do that before lockdown starts on Thursday. So we're going to try and squeeze that in so that we can see him and get him really settled. Right, there we go. So all glued down, and then the only thing we need is a sentiment. So another little strip of Whisper White card, Memento ink, and for you, I've got this already mounted on a block. So just stamp that. There we go, lovely. And then I'm just going to fussy cut this. I'm just going to do this by eye. If you wanted to, you could do it with a trimmer, but I tend to just do this. It's a tiny, tiny little label. It's not going to matter too much if it's not absolutely square. There we go. And then we just need some dimensionals to go under there, and we are done. So let's just do that. I'm hoping that you saw my information that we've got a new, just trying to think what day this will be coming out, on the 4th, I think. So yes, yesterday we started selling a Christmas paper pumpkin kit, and it looks fab. On the email that I sent out on Saturday, I couldn't include any of the contents. We weren't allowed until it was actually out, but now I can, and it looks absolutely lovely. And so I'm desperately, hopefully by the time you watch this video I will have ordered mine, but if you'd like me to order one for you, or you want to order it, please do, because I will be doing some projects with it, showing you what you can make. It comes with enough product to make 8 cards, but you can always make lots more. You get a stamp set as well, which is well worth, that's worth the £20 without all the other bits and pieces that you get. Anyway, there we go, all done. That is my beginner's project for today. Hope you've enjoyed that. I have used more products this time than I normally would, but you don't have to use all of those products. So like I say, there are ways of colouring that you could use that you don't need the blends. You could use any sentiment set that you've got to put a sentiment on there. You could just colour in the centres of the flowers without using the enamel dots. And then it's just a case of what colour card, what colour ink have you got, and then of course you will need this stamp set. It's one that's been quite ignored in the catalogue, I think, and I love it, but to be honest I haven't used it again until today. I will just show you a sneaky peek of another card I made with it, which will be coming out later. I made this with the basket, so just put some basket and again something to ground it, and then actually a die cut message on that one. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed that. Hope you've liked seeing the projects. I hope you'll give it a go. And I will be back soon with more projects and more card making for beginners. Meanwhile, have a lovely day and happy crafting.